Hey folks, Chuck Holton here. Thanks for watching the Odd Zone. Sorry, it's been a few days since I've posted much because I've been helping my daughter move. She's moving to Fayetteville, North Carolina. Her husband's in the military as a JAG lawyer, and they're getting stationed at Fort Bragg. But it's not going to be Fort Bragg for much longer, and I wanted to talk about that today. Apparently, the U.S. government has spent $81 million in combing through the records of every U.S. military base around the world and figuring out how any of them could possibly be racist, and getting rid of any quote-unquote racist names on military bases, roads, even monuments on military bases, because that's really what we need to be focusing on right about now. Fort Bragg, I doubt you could find anybody of any race who could tell you much about the history of who the guy was that Fort Bragg was named after. And so, but apparently if you go do some research and you dig back into the records, Fort Bragg was named after a guy, I think his name was Alvin Bragg, and he was a Confederate general, something like that. A lot of the reasons that they named things after Confederate generals was for reconciliation, to try to sort of smooth out the hatred that was born of the Civil War. And it wasn't because they were trying to, be racist, or they were trying to glorify slavery or anything like that. It was simply to smooth out the ripples in our culture that resulted from the chaos of the Civil War. Same thing with Fort Benning. Fort Benning is going to get renamed to Fort Moore. And there are a whole bunch more names. I don't think many people really, especially the people who are on the committee to try to figure out what bases need to be renamed. I mean, these are bases that have literally been, Fort Bragg and Fort Benning are absolutely historic bases. Anybody who's been in the U.S. Army knows about Fort Bragg and Fort Benning, and many people from the U.S. Army have trained or been stationed there. I personally was stationed at Fort Benning for 4 years of my enlistment in the U.S. Army as a Ranger. And not once in the entire time that I was stationed there did I or anybody I knew say, well, it's just too bad that Fort Benning was named after a racist. Because it wasn't. Because nobody cares. Because nobody even knows. And by dredging up these long dead past differences, all the U.S. government is doing is it's reigniting those differences. It's pushing people apart, not bringing people together. And it's spending a god-awful amount of money to do it. We're talking about, again, a minimum of $81 million, but if that's just to change the names on the signs on the bases from Fort Bragg to Fort Liberty, Fort Benning to Fort Moore, and all the other bases that are being changed as well. But that doesn't take into account all of the streets and stores and monuments and churches and everything off base around those major bases that are named for the bases themselves. So Fort Bragg Credit Union, the Fort Bragg Baptist Church, the all the signs off base that are referencing Fort Bragg, all of those are either going to have to be changed, or else the people are going to have to say, forget it, we're not changing it. I think that they should just say, you can change the name of the base, but we're not changing the name of the street. We're not changing the name of our credit union or our church. Sorry, we're going to keep calling it Fort Bragg. And of course, anybody who's lived there for any amount of time or ever served there is going to keep calling it what it was originally called. It's just dumb. It's about as dumb as I remember after I got out of the Rangers, there was a U.S. Army Secretary of the Army who decided that all of the Army needed to wear the black beret. Up until that point, the black beret was reserved only for the Rangers. I earned a black beret going through the Ranger Indoctrination Program, getting into the Ranger unit, and suffering through 4 years in the Ranger unit. It's very difficult. I literally got 2 inches shorter the time I was in the Rangers. And this general just decided one day that just to make everybody feel better, we're going to give everybody a black beret. Everybody needs to have black beret. Yay, black berets for everybody. And we'll let the Rangers switch to a tan beret, change something else. Why not give everybody else a tan beret? Why take the Rangers beret and give it to the entire Army? The beret's not even a good hat. It's not even a functional hat. It's hot in the summer. It's cold in the winter. It doesn't keep the rain off. It doesn't keep the sun off. What good is it? It's just a showpiece. And to try to, help everybody's self-esteem, that Army general decided that everybody needed to have one. And I gave him a piece of my mind. I actually ran into him at the world premiere of the Black Hawk Down movies. He was standing in front of me in line for popcorn. And I just told him, hey, look, sir, I'm a civilian now. That means you work for me. And you're an idiot. I think that was the stupidest change. It's expensive. Not only that, but then they figured out they were buying all of these new berets for the entire Army from China. It's just the stupidity of the leadership of our country is absolutely mind-boggling at times. It's endemic. I don't know what it is about power that not only corrupts but just turns people to brains to mush, just makes them stupid. But suffice it to say, Fort Bragg and Fort Benning are not going to be any more or less racist by changing the name. I'm surprised they didn't name them after great transgender leaders. I'm surprised we don't have a Fort Mulvaney, Dylan Mulvaney coming. Maybe that's next. But just profoundly stupid and expensive and needless. And when at a time when our military is, our ships are rusting away, our military is struggling to recruit people. Do you think spending $81 million changing the name of the bases is going to make a whole lot more people go, oh, well, now that they're not racist names, I want to join the Army? Those people don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. I say all this as I'm stuck on Interstate 95, which has not been expanded from a 2 lanes each way in my lifetime. And I'm in a 2-hour backup because there's a fender bender up here, up ahead, that closed down the freeway right in the construction zone. That's just great. Maybe that $81 million could have been spent on something a little bit more useful. That's all I'm saying. So rant over. I'm heading to Washington, D.C. to do some interviews with some Congress critters today or tomorrow. And we do have some very good stuff coming. I wanted to mention my upcoming documentary. It's called Armenia, A Love Story, and it's getting rave reviews from everybody who's seen it. I've not heard a critical word yet about the thing. It's won 2 awards, even though it hasn't even been released yet. And we are setting up, I'm getting calls from around the United States asking for screenings of the movie. So we started out, we were going to do one in California after the world premiere in Yerevan. And now it looks like we may be doing 5 or 6 screenings around the United States. If you would like to host a screening or help put on a screening, get in touch with me and maybe we can do one in your city. Otherwise, it'll be available online after the world premiere and everybody will be able to see it. So I hope you will watch it and enjoy it and spread the word. We're already working on our next documentary, and I've got a lot of good things coming this summer. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Chuck Holton. Go like and share. Go to chuckholton.locals.com to follow everything I'm doing. We'll see you.